Inventiveness. How innovative are you? Innovative critical thinking empowers better approaches for intuition, better approaches for getting the issue addressed. Your own innovativeness can be improved when working with others, since we will in general force pointless impediments on ourselves when tackling issue. We need to figure out how to recognize genuine constraints and let different ones go. For instance, in the event that you attempted to tackle the 9 dabs issues by remaining inside the border framed by the specs, then, at that point you were working with an impediment forced by you, and just you. That was not an impediment of the actual issue. 6 steps to problem-solving. Imagination and being receptive to arrangements are 2 things that everybody needs to bring to a critical thinking table. Utilizing these devices alongside a deliberate way to deal with taking care of issues can accelerate the interaction and take care of business all the more productively and all the more viably. This module utilizes a 6-step problem-solving measure. The following are the 6 stages. Recognize that an issue exists. Analyze the issue. Collect data. Identify potential causes. Answers for the issue. Evaluate the potential causes. Arrangements. Develop an activity. Intend to address the issue and make a move. Verify that the issue has been adjusted. Every one of these means requires a receptive outlook and an innovative psyche. Moreover, in the working environment particularly, each progression requires cooperation and successful correspondence between colleagues just as those outside of the critical thinking group. How about we take a gander at each progression exhaustively? Stage 1. Recognize that a problem exists. To perceive that an issue exists, you should have a few information of the circumstance, the work, the gear, the item. It is feasible to know close to nothing, that you don't realize that there is an issue regardless. Acquiring information about your work helps you to perceive, hello, we have a problem. Become a data fanatic. Pose inquiries. Learn all that you can. At the point when you are placed into a circumstance that you don't comprehend, ask questions. Stage 1. Recognize that an issue exists. 1. An issue exists when there is a deviation from the norm for which the reason isn't known. Models. A. My vehicle is making a commotion that I've never heard. B. An inadmissible measure of completed item is blemished. C. The consistency of photoresist on the cycle wafer is crazy, past the satisfactory control limits. 2. To perceive an issue, inquire, A. Is it doing what it ought to do? B. Is the result the right result? To respond to these inquiries, individuals who work in an assembling climate should know the gear, the item, and the cycle, what it seems like, resembles, smells like, and feels like. The more one knows, the better issue solver one becomes. 3. Whenever it is perceived that an issue exists, compose an issue articulation that states precisely what is influenced, what's going on, and the degree of the issue, the level of deviation from acknowledged execution levels. 4. In the case of working with others, everybody should concur on what the issue is and concur with the issue articulation. Instances of problem statements. A. My power will be out for no less than 24 hours, and I have essentially $600 worth of food in the cooler that could defrost. I need to hold the food back from defrosting. B. Microtechnology handling model. The photoresist consistency information on the last bunch of wafers is outside adequate cutoff points. Accordingly, the interaction should be ended and the consistency issue remedied. C. Microtechnology handling model. Product yield. The percent of good pass-on has dropped from 78% to 58% over the previous month. Our most reduced satisfactory yield is 66%. Stage 2. Analyze the problem. Circumstance. You go out one morning to leave for work, and your vehicle will not begin. What is your promptly reaction/activity? Do you begin pulling out apparatuses, or calling a tow truck, or do you begin pondering why it will not begin? Reactions. A. Time killer. If you begin pulling out apparatuses to begin dealing with your vehicle before you know the reason for the issue, you'll end up burning through a ton of time and could wind up breaking something different. The reason for the issue could simply be that you're running on empty and didn't have any acquaintance with it. B. Non-mastermind. If you called a tow truck, then, at that point you're asking another person to tackle your concern. Once more, you may simply be running on empty, and you will wind up paying a repairman truckload of cash to reveal to you that. Furthermore, remember the expense of the tow truck. C. Issue solver. If you promptly began contemplating why it will not begin, then, at that point you have effectively begun to examine the issue. You intuitively began the inquiry and answer game with yourself. A. How old is the battery? B. Have I been having issues with the vehicle beginning, or has it been beginning effectively each time? C. Has any upkeep been done as of late? D. Do I have gas in the vehicle? When did I top off last? E. Has another person been driving my vehicle and allowed it to run out gas? Steps to analyzing the problem. 1. Decide the level of deviation from the norm. A. How terrible is it? Example, is the consistency issue with the photoresist terrible enough that the wafers can't be handled? B. What is the direness of the issue? Example, do I have to quit handling wafers by and large until the issue is fixed? 2. Will the issue deteriorate whenever left unattended? 3. Is the issue worth the time and exertion? 4. It is safe to say that you are 100% certain that you know the reason for the issue? A. Provided that this is true, then, at that point begin contemplating how to fix it. B. If not, keep on breaking down the issue. 5. Accumulate however many realities about the circumstance as could be allowed. Stage 3. Identify possible causes, solutions. When you arrive at stage 3, you should know what the issue is and what the issue resembles. Presently, it's an ideal opportunity to contemplate what might be causing the issue. Here's the place where being an inventive scholar makes a difference. Commonly, the reason is self-evident. The engine will not run. Cause, whoops, it's not connected. The vehicle will not begin. Cause, oh I'm running on empty. We lost vacuum to the gear. Cause, the vacuum siphon is off. Obviously, presently you need to figure you why the vacuum siphon is off. The offer of Kleenex has out of nowhere dropped off. Cause, the sensitivity and cold seasons are finished. Then, at that point there are times when the reason it not really self-evident. Employee truancy has consistently expanded during the previous a year. The vehicle will not begin and I realize it has a lot of gas, and the battery is just a half-year old. Photoresist consistency has steadily been diminishing in the course of the last 6 bunches of wafers. Final item yield has dropped to unsatisfactory levels in only 1 month. At the point when the issue isn't self-evident, then, at that point brainstorm and foster some potential causes, answers for the issue. Conceptualizing is a technique utilized by 2 or more individuals to produce thoughts and potential outcomes. The objective is to thought of however many thoughts as would be prudent, zeroing in on amount, not quality. As an individual tosses out a thought, others can expand on it. Gathering meetings to generate new ideas lead to more smart thoughts than a singular working alone. Individuals piggyback off the thoughts of others and thoughts develop as the gathering deals with the cycle. When a rundown is made, the gathering assesses it utilizing everybody's joined information and the gathered information to distinguish the likely causes of the issue. During the assessment cycle, the group talks about the thoughts and figures out which ones are worth further examination. As of now, how about we split away and work on conceptualizing a few issues? Complete the brainstorming activity. Conceptualizing is an extraordinary method to distinguish potential causes to an issue and, contingent upon the sort of issue, potential arrangements. As you found in the action, when filling in as a group you can think of certain purposes that you, alone likely would not have considered. Standard practice for a methodical way to deal with critical thinking is to list all of the potential other options, causes, before deciding. In the second conceptualizing movement, you fostered a rundown of potential reasons for helpless opposed consistency. Presently, it's an ideal opportunity to evaluate your rundown utilizing the data you could have gathered in Stage 4. Evaluate the possible causes. Prior to examining this progression of critical thinking, we will do another short movement. Mixed cities. Methodology: unscrambled every one of the accompanying to recognize a city. All urban communities are in the United States. Model: Oyapur is Peoria. 1. Reedon. 2. Itsuan. 3. Tietzel 4. Lu OASP 5. WNE Alvarwasan 6. SNA Tanui 7. Aknsa ITCY 8. Seoul Sealdma 9. Reedon 10. Achubdi 11. Noyaf 12. Aptam 13. Ultas 14. Lo OASP 15. Thausno. Questions: 1. Did you get them all? 2. How could you approach addressing this riddle? 3. Did you dispose of copies first? 4. Did you go through and address the least demanding ones first, then, at that point return and settle the harder ones? Stage 5. Develop an action plan to correct the problem, and take action now. In the critical thinking measure, there ought to be just 2 to 3 potential causes that stand apart as the most likely answers for the issue. Go for the arrangement that completely finishes the least unfriendly results, the most probable cause. Pose some more inquiries. How much time is required? How much cash is required? How much labor is required? Do we require extra data? Do we have to include others, and assuming this is the case, who? Is there a simpler way? Do we have to venture back to check whether something different is causing the cause of our concern? Which arrangement will fix the issue? Will the fix be long-lasting or impermanent? Stage 6. Verify that the problem has been corrected. 1. When the arrangement has been carried out, the outcomes ought to be assessed for the viability of the most reasonable justification. This assessment should occur a few times to guarantee that the issue doesn't return. 2. Issues have been adjusted in the event that they don't reoccur. 3. Assuming the issue reoccurs, it didn't sort out. Assess why and assault the issue once more.